Hello and welcome to this mental health podcast. This episode will focus on understanding medications. We will cover the specific medications often prescribed for depression and anxiety, some basics about how they may affect you and the potential benefits and side effects, as well as some of the less glamorous sides to medications, like the stigma that unfortunately still surrounds them, as well as the effects of self-medication. Before I start, I would like to state that I am not a doctor. Because I am not a doctor, I will not be giving you any advice. The purpose of this episode is to put some more information in front of you unbiasedly, so that you can make a truly informed decision about medication if you are required to. The world of medicine is extremely complicated, and what we know about the benefits and side effects of medicines are constantly evolving. Because of this, the information we receive is often just what we hear from a GP, pharmacist, specialist nurse, or psychiatrist. These are highly trained professionals who have dedicated a lot of time to understanding these medications, so the information that they provide to us is hugely valuable. These healthcare professionals might offer to prescribe you medication to help manage your symptoms. Some people might find it helpful to try talking therapies and medication at the same time. Generally speaking, medication shouldn't be the only thing that you're offered. Whether or not that you are offered medication for your mental health is likely dependent on the following: what mental health problem you are being diagnosed with, what your symptoms are, and how severely your mental health problem affects you. Going into your appointment, it could be a good idea to think about what symptoms you have been experiencing and how big of an impact they have had on you. This is where a journal or a basic record of your symptoms is helpful. Before prescribing your medication, the healthcare professional must consider any other medications that you use, including non-prescribed medications, any other physical or mental health problems that you have, if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, and what experiences you have had with medications in the past. Suppose they advise or have given you some options for medications. In that case, it could be helpful to know some good questions that you could ask that could help you better understand that medication. Some good questions are: what the name of the drug is, why are you being offered it, what other treatments can I be offered alongside this, what is the desired effect and how long does it usually take to notice it, what side effects might I experience, when and how much of the medication do I need to take, is there any specific way I need to store this medication, what do I do if my medication runs out, how to stop taking the medications properly, and will the medication ever prevent me from doing anything like driving? That's a lot of questions, I know, so feel free to pause and go back and re-listen to that if you need to. But once you feel like they have provided you with all the information that you need, it is advised that you check the ingredients list on the medication and the patient information packet, which is found in the inside of the medication packet, so that you know if there is anything in there that you don't want to take. For example, some medications contain lactose or gelatin. These slips can be incredibly boring and full of jargon, but still, they are a great place to find information about your specific medication. There are several medications for mild to moderate depression and anxiety. We'll start by going over antidepressants. These are drugs licensed to treat depression, anxiety, phobias, and eating disorders. Antidepressants boost the activity of specific naturally occurring brain chemicals, or make their effects last longer. This includes noradrenaline and serotonin, which are involved in regulating your moods and emotions. Noradrenaline and serotonin are neurotransmitters. These are chemicals that pass messages between parts of your brain and between your brain and the rest of your body. By causing a change in your brain chemistry, antidepressants may help to lift your mood. But antidepressants don't work for everybody, and there is no scientific evidence that depression or anxiety is caused by a chemical imbalance, which is corrected by antidepressants. There is a lot of evidence, however, that these antidepressants may help reduce the symptoms of depression and anxiety. There are several different types of antidepressants. They mainly cause similar effects, but some people respond to certain antidepressants better than others, and the different drugs may cause various different side effects. The most prescribed antidepressant is known as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs. These include medications like sertraline. SSRIs are commonly preferred over other antidepressants as they have fewer side effects, and an overdose is less likely to be fatal. Serotonin non-adrenaline reuptake inhibitors, or SNRIs, are similar to SSRIs. However, some research has shown that some people respond better to SSRIs and some better to SNRIs. There are many others, and if you want more information about antidepressants, don't hesitate to contact a healthcare professional or research on reliable sites such as the British National Formulary, Mind, or the NHS. It is also important to know that antidepressants don't work instantly, and it can take weeks to see an improvement, so don't give up too soon. Beta blockers are a commonly prescribed medication to help reduce anxiety symptoms such as a rapid heart rate, palpitations, and tremors. These are traditionally used for short-term anxiety, especially before a stressful event. They are not psychiatric drugs, so they are not shown to reduce psychological symptoms directly. However, decreasing the physical symptoms often has the knock-on effect of improving your psychological state. After all, it's one less problem to deal with in those challenging moments. A healthcare professional may also prescribe a vast selection of sleeping pills and minor tranquilizers, from household names like Xanax and melatonin to less-known medications like Pregabalin and diazepam. There is a huge range of medications that work slightly differently and affect everybody differently. Medication is helpful or even life-changing for a lot of people, and if a professional recommends some to you, it's important that this is taken seriously. But in most cases, you cannot be forced to take a medication. You usually have the right to refuse it and ask for an alternative treatment. The only scenario where you may be forced to take a medication is when you have been admitted to the hospital under a mental health section, or you have been assessed under the Mental Capacity Act as not having capacity to give consent, or you are being treated on a community treatment order. Being forced to take medication is a massive concern for a lot of people with mental health problems, especially if we believe that we will become very unwell in the future. If you are concerned about this, it could be helpful to plan with a healthcare professional about how you think you would want to be treated if you lose the capacity to make that decision yourself. This could be in the form of an advanced decision, a legally binding instruction for healthcare professionals, or create an advanced statement which is not legally binding but does help guide professionals in creating a plan around your preferences. When deciding whether or not to take a medication, one of the biggest factors in people's minds is their side effects. The side effects you may experience depending on the medication you take and your individual reaction to that medication. Not everybody experiences side effects though. The leaflet that comes with your medication will include a list of all the side effects found in clinical trials and is updated regularly using the yellow card system. It usually gives some indication of how frequently a side effects may occur. For example, very common side effects would usually be a 1 in 10 people, and a very rare side effect would be a 1 in 10,000 people. If you are experiencing side effects, it's worth considering whether the medication's benefits outweigh any negative effects. This is something that you should discuss with your mental health professional, as they may be able to do something to help. It could also be a good idea to record your side effects using the yellow card scheme. This is how medicine and healthcare professional product regulatory agencies ensure that all the side effects are accurately represented for all medications. It is also a great tool to help inform people who are taking the medications in the future. You can also access these reports, but it's not easy to decipher, even for medical experts, so using the NHS website or talking to a healthcare professional could be a lot easier. Another factor that many people consider when taking a medication is the cost. In England, some people need to pay for their prescriptions, while others get theirs for free. You can ask your healthcare professional about this or check the NHS website. But suppose you are an individual who is not entitled to free prescriptions. In that case, it may help to buy a prescription prepayment certificate. If you have multiple prescriptions, this could work out considerably cheaper. There are also a lot of charities and government initiatives that are available to help if you are struggling to afford your medications. As we discussed earlier, medications are tailored towards an individual, so what is prescribed to you may not be suitable for other people. This is why it's not appropriate for you to share your medications with other people, even if you are in financial difficulties. Medications help some people, but it isn't always right for others. If you don't know if your medication is helpful, you may wish to stop taking it. Or you may find it helps your mental health, but you want to stop for other reasons. For example, the side effects are more of a problem than any benefit that you have found from taking it. You don't like the idea of staying on medication long term. You've been advised by someone you trust to come off the medication because it's not safe, for example, due to side effects or a change in your symptoms. You found other ways of coping or other treatments that help, which you feel are enough. Your mental health has been consistently better for long enough that you feel like you might not need medication anymore. Whatever your reasoning, the decision to come off medication is personally based on whatever you feel is right for you in your particular circumstances. It's about deciding what's best for you at the moment and remembering that what helps you may change over time. So if you decide to come off your medication, it's crucial that you get support, for example, from your doctor or your mental health team. You could even chat with people with lived experience of coming off similar drugs. It is essential to taper your dose to come off your medication safely with less risk of relapse. Going cold turkey is really dangerous. Your healthcare professional will set out a plan with you to do this. Choosing a good time to start coming off could also be beneficial, as well as chatting to your healthcare professional about the withdrawal symptoms you may experience and some self-care tips to employ during your withdrawal. The Withdrawal Project is a great organisation that provides information and support for people wanting to withdraw from their medication. There are also tons of dedicated peer support groups aimed at supporting withdrawal from specific medications, for example surviving antidepressants, Recovery Road and Postscript 360. A study by King's College London in 2018, which included 90,000 participants from across the globe that were offered a psychotic medication and said no, found that 38,000 of them, or just over 40%, stated that avoiding the stigma of mental illness was their main reason for forgoing their medication, proving that stigma is still having a toxic effect on preventing people from getting the help that they need. The study also showed that young people, men, minorities, and people in the military, and perhaps most surprisingly, those working in the healthcare field, were most affected by this stigma. If you think that you are one of these individuals who would say no to a medication because of this, or you feel embarrassed when you take them, I understand that. Unfortunately, not everybody understands mental health problems. Some people may have misconceptions about what it means to have a mental health problem. They may also use language that you find dismissive, offensive, or hurtful. This can be very upsetting, especially if that someone is someone who is a family member, a colleague, or a healthcare professional. But it's important to remember that you aren't alone, and that you don't have to put up with people treating you poorly. Other people's opinions often shape our behaviours. We have a natural urge to want to fit in, but this becomes very difficult when avoiding this perceived stigma or worrying about what others will think about us. Suppose that you don't want to have your medication. That's completely fine. But if you do, know that you are not alone. You join a huge community spanning every walk of life, every age group, every socio-economic category. Currently, 7.3 million adults, or 17% of the adult population in the UK, are prescribed with antidepressants alone. The unfortunate reality of this stigma is that a growing population avoids getting the help and becoming dependent on self-medication. You might use food to give yourself a mood boost or alleviate boredom. You might smoke a joint to help you relax, or have a drink or two before going out to settle your nerves and ease any social anxiety. These are unbelievably common tactics people use. When you use alcohol or drugs in this way to manage symptoms of your mental health issue, it's known as self-medicating. You may know that you have a mental health problem, but you don't know any healthier ways to cope with it, or your condition may be undiagnosed and you use alcohol or drugs to cope with a specific symptom or situation. During the pandemic and the resultant economic difficulties, for example, many of us started self-medicating stress, worry, and depression as our lives changed so much. While self-medicating may offer some relief in the short term, it only exacerbates your problems over time. If you turn to alcohol, illegal drugs, or prescription medications, or even food or cigarettes, it can lead to serious problems. Once you become dependent on that form of self-medication you have chosen, it can control you. Therefore, many people become addicts. Alcohol tends to be the most common method of self-medication, as well as the most commonly abused substance, since it's so widely available. It may be used to self-medicate stress, depression, and anxiety, even though beer, wine, and liquor are forms of depressant and will only worsen your symptoms. But you're not powerless. By better understanding why and when you self-medicate, you can find healthier and more effective ways to cope with your problems and improve your overall mood and well-being. Seeking professional help at the earliest opportunity is always advised, and it is never too late to get the help that you deserve. Please do not hesitate to talk to a healthcare professional if you have any other medical questions. Thank you again for your attention and, most importantly, your valuable time. I hope that you have found this episode beneficial. See you in the next episode. Thank you.